privilege to have Shelley here and be able to present to us in person what she did on the webinar about a month ago. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Esther. So it's really exciting to be here. It's an honor and a privilege. It sounds like you're already doing some amazing work in the area around methamphetamine. And methamphetamine is ever evolving, right? This is not the same methamphetamine from 2005, 2004. This is a different methamphetamine. It's a different landscape, and it continues to evolve. So what I'm going to do today is just to talk about the methamphetamine. We have a toolkit that the Arizona HIDA put together. Arizona has been, methamphetamine has been the #1 threat in Arizona for several years. So just like here in San Diego and in California, methamphetamine has been the #1 threat for quite some time. So has it been in Arizona. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through some information. Some of the slides, I was just working on this last night. I got some brand new data. So if I look at the slide, you know, I may have to do that from time to time. So I wanted to bring you the very latest in terms of what's out there. And then also what I'd like to do at the end, I'll show you the toolkit. I'm going to show you a case study where there were some positive results made. And then at the end, what I'd like to do is pick your brain on helping this improve even more in terms of, from the doctor's standpoint, how does the methamphetamine use disorder patient, how does that person look different now than they did in the past? And why are so many people dying from meth now that were dying from methamphetamine in 2003, 2004, 2005 at the height of the home meth labs? So those are some things I'd like to hear from you all. And on the treatment side, what are you using to strategize? If a lot of people are coming in with sort of that twin addiction, how are you handling that? What is contingency management working best for methamphetamine, or what is working here in San Diego? Because I'd like to learn from you too in terms of what's going on here to kind of take that back and and also improve what we already have here. So as we take a look at that, we're going to take a look at today's meth. And I know that everyone here has, you know, you may have already seen some of this, or you may already know some of these facts. But just to let you know that 97%, that's a pretty high number. 97% of our meth seized comes to the southwest border. And you can see the numbers of increases there on that chart in terms of where methamphetamine seizures are. Also, most of these are made in super labs. There aren't a lot of home labs anymore. Now, with that being said, this is a graph that shows home labs that were found and where they were made, arrest or bust. But so 81% of these 3,000 had less than 2 ounces. So very low number. There's a very low amount of meth being produced in these home labs. But if you take a look and you remember 2005, there were 23,000 of those home labs, and we're way down to 3,000. Now, with that being said, California in 2017 still had over 200 labs, what they were considered labs. Again, most of those were under 2 ounces. So this is from the DEA's. Bulletin that they released on the drug threat assessment. Now, this next slide is what keeps me up at night. So, what's one of the big epidemics with our kids right now, with our teenagers? What are they doing? They're vaping, right? They're vaping nicotine, they're vaping THC, and now Arizona's found methamphetamine. Have you seen this? Methamphetamine in cartridges? You have? Some of you have? Yeah, so we're seeing methamphetamine being vaped. And we issued a law enforcement safety bulletin and also just an awareness bulletin that, if someone's vaping and they're showing signs of methamphetamine use, test that liquid for methamphetamine. So now we're seeing that. And that frightens me because once our kids get accustomed to vaping nicotine or vaping THC, who knows what else they'll put in there to vape. Also in terms of how is it getting here? What does it look like in terms of how it's getting here? Some of the same concealment methods, are being used to get it into the United States. This is one of your cases here, so here's a question for you. This was a remote-controlled car, a 16-year-old. This was San Diego Customs Border Patrol. So how many think it is? How many of you think this was carrying C? How many think this is C? 60,000. All right, how many think D? D, all right. A? Anybody think A? A? B? Okay, no. Answer is D. He had 50 packets. It was a U.S. citizen. It was a 16-year-old kid, and he was going to drive his. He had a big duffel bag of methamphetamine in little bags, and so he was going to put each one of those bags on there and drive it across the border. And so Customs Border Patrol found this. This was in like November of 2019, so it wasn't actually that. Yeah, it was November 19th, 2019. So yeah, when the agent approached the boy, he had the remote control in a car in a large duffel bag. Now, this isn't just only to California. Arizona's had drones. We've had people try to fly drones over the border with drugs and that type of thing. But it just goes to show you that it can make its way into the United States in a number of different ways. The other thing that we're seeing is meth in solution. They call it. It's not liquid meth. They call it meth in solution. Then it comes in, and then it's converted. So this is just a case just recently in Arizona where they found this guy was driving a Tesla, and he had it on automatic drive, and he was playing Candy Crush at the same time. I mean, can you believe that? He's got all this stuff in his car, and so he's playing Candy Crush. And you know how they know? Do you know what's so funny how they know this? It's because the Tesla has a bunch of cameras in the car. So they're seeing, they go back and they seize all that, and the guy's playing Candy Crush as he has it on self-drive, which I thought was pretty genius to use those cameras in the car. But there was a lot of liquid or meth in solution. There was a lot of THC candies in there, and a number of other things. So this was, as someone mentioned earlier, typically there's a lot of other polysubstance use going on in terms of either selling or using. I went and I looked at just a few of the California headlines. This is a very disturbing one. I know something close to Amy and the HIDA's heart here is human trafficking. The fact that a woman was using a teenage girl as a mule for methamphetamine. And then this is just, I think, 2 or 3 days ago, they found a large amount of meth in stones. So again, there's all sorts of ways that they're getting methamphetamine in here. And really interesting to see that, this is February 19th, so this is just last month, where this article came out about San Diego's illegal marketplaces. And the fact that you'll see sandwich bags full of meth because it's so cheap, $5 to $10 a hit. And that's a huge concern, right? Because that creates the perfect storm. When you take a look at availability, when you take a look at access, when you take a look at a market being flooded with methamphetamine, and you have purity sky high, and you have price so low, it creates a perfect storm. And so that's why we're seeing, I believe, so much increased use and also those deaths. This is a brand new map that I'm trying not to touch my face. Nick's like, I'm all freaked out. I'm like, oh, what am I supposed? How are you supposed to not touch your face? It itches. Oh, I'm like, so this is when you take a look at this map. When you look at California. So if it's in dark blue, it was statistically significant. There was a statistically significant change from 2017 to 2018. And California had a statistically significant increase. So California, these are just drug overdose stats. They haven't yet broken it out. And the data really lags. As all of you researchers know in the room, it takes them a long time to process these data and verify the deaths and that type of thing. But California saw a 9.4% increase in overall drug overdose stats. So I want to make that clear. That's all drug overdose stats. But I looked at in LA, and they just launched a new campaign there, and they say that meth is linked to more deaths than any other drug in LA County. So I thought that was interesting. So I want to put that there as well.
Yes,